Welcome to CAS 133, Columbia Gorge Community College, The Dalles, Oregon. Mrs. Hughitt, instructor. We are headed into week 8 already. So let's walk our way through week 8 and talk about kind of what do you need to know, what's going to be happening. You've got some additional resources here, and you probably, if you've not worked with Excel much, will find that there will be some use and some help. Excel is a great program, but it can be a little bit cranky at times. There's a couple of different things that you can do that look the same to students often, but to the computer look like very different actions, and your results are very different. So it's going to be some real minute details that are going to be the difference between, I got this, and what in the heck happened here? So you're going to have to be really careful. You've got your goals, and you've got your video, which is going to be this. You've got your basic overview, which again is not designed to replace the video. It's just sort of designed to give you sort of the highlights. It's like reading the back of the book cover to see if you like the book before you buy it. You're not going to be able to take a test on it or give a full book report based on just reading that back cover. So keep that in mind. Instructional materials, there are some materials in here to look at. So you're going to open this up, and you're going to look at some different Excel. There's a PowerPoint about Excel, and there's a couple of examples in here about Excel as well. So you're going to check those out so that you have those chance to see those materials. And with the PowerPoint, be sure you also listen, because the slides are not just being read to you. This tips and tricks is probably going to be sort of your best lifeline in a way. And I would suggest not only opening it up, but I would suggest printing a copy of it. So you actually have a printed copy sitting right there beside you as you go through and do things. Now this has been being built up over a number of terms. In fact, it's probably been built up over 5 years or so. And as the book changes projects, there may be some things I really need to take out because you don't do the same thing anymore. But all the new things you need are in there. So make sure you read through it and that you know kind of what you need to do. You have your student data files. And then of course you have your submission area for your Excel project number 1. So that's the first chapter of Excel in your textbook. And if you're using a different version, really only colors and fonts are really going to be impacted much. It does ask for a theme that you probably won't have, and so you're going to need to match colors. And then your reflection, your forum. Now, if you have not been doing any sort of extra credit and you want to get some, I would suggest that you do the PowerPoint project from last week, this week as an extra credit in one of the Excels. Remember, you can only have one from a subject, so you can't do 2 Excels. They have to be 1 and 1. And this is kind of your last opportunity this week if you're going to do a book project, because we'll be moving into Access, and not very many people want to take that on as an extra credit. So I would encourage you, in fact, I don't think I've ever had one. I'm going to encourage you to get that PowerPoint done and this Excel done. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at an extra credit final project, which is an option if you would rather do it. It is more creative, and so you can choose that instead. Looks like this application project information has gotten lost, so that's going to have to go wandering a little bit before it's time to get started. So I'll get that moved by the time you actually see it. Now let's look a little bit at what your final project's going to look like. So I've got it pulled over here, and it's a little hard to see, but it's in the book, so it's not like you have to actually see mine. It's in your book, and it's going to look like this. And I wish I could get that white bright spot out, but I really don't think I can. So just sort of ignore it. And you're going to go through here, and you're going to follow the directions to create this spreadsheet. Now let me warn you, I have had students go in here and just sit down with this book and type it all out and turn it in to me and wonder why they basically get a 0 or maybe a 10 at best. The whole idea of doing Excel is learning to use the formulas, using the tips and the tricks and the shortcuts, not doing it the hardest way possible. We all can do that without taking a class to learn how to do it the hardest way possible. So let's learn to do it the right way, which is easier. And there is a way that, and you'll learn in the next chapter, how I can switch this so I can see exactly in the background what you have done to create those numbers. And if you've just typed it in, I'm going to be able to see that. And I do check. Just in case you were wondering, yes, I do check them all. So you have to follow the step-by-step directions and learn to use the formulas complete. The formulas have you like multiplying in one place, and sometimes I get students that sort of know what they're doing already with Excel, at least a little bit, and they come in going plus, 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 plus. Yes, multiplication is repeated addition. I understand that. I get the math behind that. However, it is not the same technology learning process to use an old technique you know of plus, 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 instead of doing what the book tells you for directions, which is a multiplication. So I do grade down for that, even though you might get the right, well, you would get the right answer. You didn't do the right process because you didn't follow the directions. You decided you knew and off you went, rather than taking the time to actually learn the skill and the steps. So there's one warning right there. Now I'm going to open Excel here for a second and bring it up on my screen because I want to show you a couple of things. And this is something that gets everybody in trouble. And so I'm going to type some numbers in a row. If you want to highlight, you're going to click on one row and just run your mouse over it. That is a highlight. That's pretty simple. I can ask it to auto sum. My sum is 36. So I can use the Z and undo that. One place it asks you to use the pull handle, and so everybody just goes, oh yeah, okay, it's just highlighting. No, it's not just highlighting. You want to grab this bar right here and you want to pull handle on that plus. It looks different, it's bold, and notice it changed all my numbers to 3. Not all of them will do that, but some machines like that trick. That's what this little box is for. Really seriously, computer? Let's try that again since my computer helped me so much. And you want to go fill format only. Now that is in the tips and tricks. It's there already for you. So you would be able to use it to look at, but you want to make sure that you do that. Notice my numbers went back. So if it says pull the fill handle, you need to be on this little plus, this little square, and then get it to be that plus before you pull. And then you'll probably maybe have to do this. So that's what you need to know for that part. You do need to set document properties on the application project. It's nice on the learning project, but I don't grade you down for it. You also have a second part that you have to do is you have to create this chart. And let me see if I can enlarge it enough. It needs to be these colors. It needs to have these percentages in here like this. And it needs to show this down the side. And I know that's hard to read. Let me see if I can slide it so it doesn't have the white spot on it. That's the light that's reflecting on us. And you'll notice it has words there. They're hard to read because we can't really see them. But it doesn't say Series 1, Series 2, Series 3. And the reason it doesn't is because when the person highlighted it, they followed the directions and they highlighted exactly the right boxes instead of going, oh, I know how to do this, and sort of like throwing it together, assuming that they in fact did know how to do it, when in reality they didn't. I do grade down for that. Notice it's also on a second page, second spreadsheet, or sheet as they're called. And those sheets have been named. Those are part of this assignment, so please make sure you do all of those as well. Now I'm going to pause for just a second and pull up our application project information. Okay, I'm back with you, and let's look at our application project for this time. One of them is to create a personal budget, and that means a personal budget. If you don't want to share your personal budget, by the way, I really don't care what your budget is, but you don't want to actually share a real personal budget, please don't do this project. Because if at any point I detect that you're making up numbers, you fail it. That simple. This is to be a personal budget that's supposed to be useful and helpful for you, and just inventing one is not. Okay? So, if that one's like, ooh, I really don't want to, I mean, I could just kind of, no, you can't just kind of. Move on and do the sales worksheet. Do it instead. Make sure that you follow the steps. So, you're going to create a worksheet listing your income and your expenses. You're going to list your incomes, your expenses using estimates from the next 6 months. So in other words, you're going to take alimony, you're going to take child support, you're going to take oil royalties, you're going to take income, you're going to take, second job income, whatever it is, student loans, whatever you've got going, you're going to take all those pieces to use. Now, if you're a high school student and basically you either don't work or you live at home, or even college students, young college students often will be in that same position, and you're living at home and you're not paying rent yet, this is probably not a very good project for you. Now, if you're paying for car payments, you're paying for car insurance, you're paying for rent, you're paying for some of those types of things, then it makes more sense. But if you don't really have an income and you really don't have a financial source other than you still live at home, which is perfectly fine. Mine did for a long time going through college too. And we basically said, if you go to school, we'll keep paying your insurance and your gas, and they had medical under us and all of that. And as long as they were going to school and doing a good job, we did that for them. That's perfectly fine, but that makes this project sort of ridiculous to do. So then you're going to want to move on. Calculate your net value using a simple formula. Use the concepts taught in this. Create a 3D pie chart for your net results for the 6 months. And submit it in Moodle. That's how I want you to do it. And then do your questions down here for your Q&A. Now, sometimes people get into trouble at this point because they're not sure what to use. Word. The Q&A is always done with Word. That's simple. You've got Word. Use Word. Do not change any default settings. Everything is saved in the normal default that Excel wants to save it in. Don't mess with that bottom box when you go to save it. You simply go over here, you do File, you do Save As, you figure out where you're going to put it. I'll just throw it on my desktop. Do not leave it book 1. That makes absolutely no sense. I met a lady who'd been using Excel for a long time, and she has a cheat sheet from like 1 to 500 because her books number themselves, and she didn't know how to change their name. And so she turned it in. She had this cheat sheet. She had to always look up, oh, I want the such and such a file, and she'd have to go look it up. Not a wise way to do things. So if this is, like, if you want to call it something like that, or you want to call it by the title of the project, whatever it is, make sure you save it that way. Now, because we're talking about the application project, once I save it, I need to go right back in here and I need to add a title. You can have a different title. I'm just keeping it simple. If you want to add tags, you can do that as well. And you'd want to do it with the topic, and you definitely need to add an author. Now, just putting those two things in is worth 4 points. So please don't just kind of sneak by and skip it, because it costs you 4 points right off the bat for not filling in like 2 little things on this page. However, you do need to make sure you hit save again, because if you don't, that doesn't get saved. So if you wait and do it as the very, very last thing you do, and then you just like close it and turn it in, I won't find it because you didn't save it. So make sure you take care of that as well. Now, if you're going to move on to the other application project, let's see if that can find it. It's having trouble with the light. Let's bring it back over here and see if we can, there, put the bulb above it. So you're working for a popular sports restaurant that has 5 branches. So you've decided not to do the personal budget. That just didn't work out for you for whatever reason. And your boss has asked you to create a worksheet to show results for drinks, meals, games, and souvenir sales. Using estimates, create a worksheet for sports and you and include totals and averages. Use the concepts and techniques presented in this chapter to format the workbook. Include a chart to compare your revenues. Submit your assignment. So you're using a chart. And it didn't say 3D pie graph. It said a chart. So it needs to be in a chart format. To compare your revenues and submit your assignment as specified by your instructor, which is Moodle. And then do your questions. So those are your kind of your 2 choices. The other one is on a car price. It's usually a little bit harder, but if you'd rather do that, you sure can. So working in a group, there's no group. You are the group. You're person 1, person 2, person 3, person 10. You're the group. Research current cars for sale. Create a worksheet that compares the types of cars and the base price for each model. That's a little tricky in the sense that almost always if you go to the newspaper, they're not the base price. They're the, oh, I've got the electric windows and the, you know, fancy stereo and the whatever. So you have to get online, and let's say you're looking at a Dodge Durango. So you're going to look it up and you're going to find what that base price is before you put all the goodies that we all want, like air conditioning, on it. And then you're going to compare it with the Hyundai, whatever, or the Kia Soul. And then you're going to go on and you're going to compare it with that type of car, and you're going to look and see what its base price is. And so that's how you're going to go about doing that. Don't just go to the newspaper and say, well, this pickup's $14,395 and that pickup is, you know, $26,000. And don't tell me all the features. I just want the base price. What does this basic car come with before you add the bells and the whistles that most of us want to have? And then based on that, you're going to calculate the average price for the cars and the averages for additional options. So then you're going to have to look at the options. Okay, how much is it going to cost me to put an automatic transmission in it? How much is it going to cost me to put air conditioning in it? What is it going to cost me to soup up the sound system? Or whatever it is that you think is important. I think most of us go for the AC at least. And then do that for each one of the cars. So whatever you're putting on car 1, you're going to put on car 2 and car 3 and car 4. And there can be big price differences, you know. AC might be $500 on one, and it might be $2,500 on one, and it might be $4,500 on one. I have no idea because I haven't looked for years. My new car is becoming an old car quickly. But given that, go in there and look at that, and then look at, like, okay, if I'm buying a Kia Soul and I'm adding this, this, and this versus buying a Durango and I'm adding those same 3 things, and then go forward to create this project and put that back up there so we can see it, and then go through the concepts and techniques in the chapter to format the worksheet, include a chart to compare the different car costs, and then submit it. And then again, of course, you would do in Moodle. And you, of course, do the questions as well. So that kind of takes you through that part of this chapter. And hopefully I've walked you through enough of the spots that you're likely to have an issue with that you should do okay. Again, I do suggest you actually print the tips and tricks because you'll use it both this week and next week. If you have any questions, send me an email and we'll try to sort it out.